Hyundai Sonata. I'm not a professional singer, but I play one on YouTube. I'm doing the clutch on this, and the unfortunate thing about these is that they're a pull type clutch. If you look at my video on a Isuzu Rodeo clutch, you'll see how I feel about those. But also, there's no room to take the transmission out because the K-frame or the subframe underneath of it. I had a friend that worked in a wrecking yard and he always called them K-frames, so then I did after that. But basically you can't clear it because a subframe blocks the transmission from coming out. I also did another video on how to do a clutch on a Toyota Camry, on one of the newer ones like a 02 or 04, the 4-cylinder. And basically what I did is I took the transmission and stuck it in between the subframe and the unibody. So I thought, well, I could do it with this, but you can't because there isn't room. You look at that and you're like, there's totally room. Well, let me tell you why there's room. I lowered the unibody here and put in a big socket, a big 32mm socket to space that out. Also removed the nut from the body up in here behind the strut. The nut behind the strut. That's fun to say. I want to comment about a butt, but I can't think of anything. I also pull out this one. This one stays in place. I started to pull it out and realized I didn't have to. That one just secures on the lower control arm. You'll have to do the same thing on this side also. This one's been dropped down about an inch. Wish that would focus, but it just won't. There we go. So you want to do that one. I tried to undo this one behind the strut and it wouldn't budge at all. And that one you can just pretty much leave alone in the back corner. Now what's holding that all up is I've got the motor mounts pulled out. I have the front one removed completely. The back one I've removed just the bracket off of the transmission, and then the through bolts removed. And then this one's been removed completely. The one that's the transmission mount on the upper. So that's all pulled out. I built this little bridge device, and the way that this works is I had two sets of angle iron, or basically square tubing that was welded in an angle. And so then I took a lower control arm that was bent. I think that's off of a Jeep or something. And then I had some other tube sitting around, and then some other tube that I put in the middle. This actually slides on this so that you can center it where you want it. And then that is part of a lift kit, and then that is a bracket. I don't remember where that came from. But I use that and they come along to support the engine on the little bracket that they have for pulling the engine and transmission assembly by. So I have it supported by that so that I can aim it so that I get the transmission just right in the middle so I can slide that out. This is like a 10-hour job. It's 8.6 hours, I think. You're supposed to pull the engine and the transmission together. And that's not a bad idea in reality. This cuts it down to be about 5 or 6 hours. It takes off about 2 or 3 hours if you go this route, but pulling those motor mounts and everything takes a long time. Before you do any of this, you want to undo the steering column. You don't want to bend or damage that. In order to do that, this one's actually really easy. It's got a hose clamp that holds it together. And you want to mark it with a paint pen. What I do is I mark it there and pull out the 12mm head bolt. And then also I take the little hose clamp and I slide it up, and I also paint that generously. So if it does come apart, I can do it without having to put it on an alignment rack or have to do a whole bunch of work. So they got little grooves in it. You can paint inside of those. You can see that one moved a little and this one moved a little. And that's enough to accommodate what needs to happen. If you don't, you can cause damage to the steering column, and that's a bad thing. As far as anything else, I like doing it this way. It saves you a few hours, and then also you don't have to fight getting it up and around this thing and be banging on the radiator or draining fluid. You don't have to undo the heater hoses. You don't have to do the radiator hoses. You don't have to take off the power steering pump, and you don't have to take off the AC compressor, and that's nice. And when I say take them off, I mean pull them as a unit all together without undoing the hoses so that you don't have to leak anything. So anyway, that's how you shave off some hours of time on doing this. There's one other really important thing that you really want to know is when you go to pull that transmission off, it does not want to come off of there. And the reason being, this is the clutch fork. It's a pull style system, and you can see here, Can you see that where it's maxing out on there? It will only go so far and then it'll stop. What you have to do is you have to mark where it is on the shaft and then mark on here and pull off that little nut there. And once you pull this off, then you'll be able to pull the transmission off. The way that this clutch works is, like I say, it's a pull kind. Instead of pushing on it with a throwout bearing, it's recessed down in there. It's like maxed out. You can't push at all. It's actually a pull style. And when you pull on that, it actually does the clutch. It's got these little clips in there. I really disrespect these clutches. I mean, I respect them in terms of, oh crap, another one. You know, be careful and do it right. But I really don't like this design, and the reason being is that it's a pain in the butt to put together, it's a pain in the butt to take apart, and failure on them. I don't know why they always like to do these on the high labor time ones. I'm sure it's 100% the reason why they do it is because it's easier when you're manufacturing to just click them together. But the aftermarket company, specifically Vallejo, does not do a very good job on these for the Isuzus. I don't know how they are for the Sonatas or for the, you know, Trans Ams or whatever else. But anyway, I hope this is helpful to you. I don't mean to go on and rag on pull style clutches. I just don't like them, especially after the problems I've had on that Isuzu. I just lost all respect for the pull system, pull style clutch as opposed to a push. Push works awesome. And for so many things, you know, like car companies, when they build a car, they take it out to the desert and test it. They take it to the Arctic and test it. They take it all these different places, and they do all of this testing. When you find something that works, I say go with it. I mean, if something is a proven, effective, and cost-effective way to do something, I say do it. You know, otherwise, you know, you come up with a car that's a lemon and it ruins the company name. I mean, for real. And, you know, I'm sure they got, you know, like, if you could save your company thousands of dollars by doing it another way, and that means that you get to go on a sweet vacation in Norway or Sweden, go skiing or something, you know, or France, you know, maybe that's, you know, hip for you, or Northern Italy. That'd be fun too. But anyway, I'm going to quit ranting. I hope this is helpful to you. If it is, be sure to rate, subscribe, and put any comments in the comments below. And if you own a Hyundai, bless your heart. Have a great day. Love you. Okay, I gotta add this. I got the clutch out of the Sonata, and look what it did. Look at the scoring marks and the cracks and the oil leak that it caused on the transmission. I mean, just ate it right up. And you know what it was? Dual Mass Flywheel. Dual Mass makes it feel like you can drive a stick shift smoothly when you can't. It gives you a false sense of security and hope in your driving skills, basically. It's kind of like a dampener. And so here's the flywheel that comes out of here, and this little end piece broke off, and so this thing's just floating around. It's called a dual mass. You can see that there's a gap all the way around here. And basically what the situation is this like pulls out. It's floppy. Let me grab a screwdriver, show you what I mean. So you take a screwdriver, it should be pretty solid, but you can see how it wiggles out. I don't know how well you can see that, but this thing is goofed. All this is busted off. So another funny thing is that this poor car, it only had 5 out of 7 bolts in that. It was missing bolts on the bottom here where the subframe goes on. There was no nut on that. It was missing 2 bolts on the other motor mount. It's just a mess. One other thing I was going to say is to get the transmission up in there, I took the stud out of here. There was a stud in that one. I pulled that out, and then see the bolts on the shifters there? I pulled the bolts out and just spun them around. You don't even got to take them off, you just spin them around so that they get out of the way. You do that, the transmission fits in there, and then you don't have to pull the whole engine and everything, which is really nice. I like that.